Hey everyone, it's Michael here and Chris joining you from Thailand and Malaysia today. Glad you could take time out of your Sunday to join us. Understand a lot of people today will be enjoying some rest time, but we appreciate you joining us. Just before we start, if you can just let us know where you've joined us from. You'll see a little chat window there. We'd love you to just type in there the city and the country where you are from. Welcome Lee, Jerry from Tamworth, Dean from Cambodia, excellent, from Sweden, Brisbane, Chile, UK. So we're certainly covering the globe, north to south, east to west. Welcome, Mark, David. Hey, Peter. We'll get underway in about another minute's time from IKEA. IKEA is big enough to be its own country. Sunshine Coast, Australia. Smagus tells me that going to the IKEA store is a Swedish one of the favorite Swedish pastimes. Okay, so as you just joined us, just let us know where you come in from in the chat. That'd be great. Got some great things to share with you today. Okay, well, I don't want to take too much time out of your Sunday. We value it. I'm going to start today, before Chris shares with us, just basically talking about some of the new things that we've done over the weekend. That's in terms of some branding. So let me just bring that up. Just make sure we're on the right screen. Okay. What I might do is just move. I'm just going to, it's on the Brave one. Okay. So sorry, folks, just got so many things open here. Brave. Okay. You can just turn the whiteboard off for a minute. Okay, we're not seeing that. Okay, so we go back to sharing. Okay, Chris, can you just give me a yes if you can see the Digital Tycoons Facebook page?
I can indeed.
Okay, so folks, we've done some branding with our team. We're very proud of our Digital Tycoons brand here, and basically, if you go through the group, you can see we've extensively branded everything that we do to raise the whole image and the quality. There are effectively two groups. This one, the Digital Tycoons SSL team, is where you add your upgraded members. It's not for prospects, it's only for paid members of Silverstar Live. In here, they'll get access to Facebook Lives, all the tools and resources, training, education, everything they need to get the best out of the software and the best out of the opportunity as well. And so please, every time you've got a new member in your team, add them to this group. The other group is similar to the Market Hackers group, where people are posting their results. Again, we love everything that Market Hackers is doing, and we support them as our upline. But again, we want to actually control our destiny and control of what information ultimately our team is exposed to, and the best way to that was to have our own group. So in this group is where you will start posting your results. So I'd really appreciate that every time you set a new person up at the close of their first day, typically most people have made a profit with Hamilton in their first day. Get them on their MT4 app on their phone to take a screenshot of their results and post a little result. You know, this is my results on day one. Maybe at the close of week, take a little screenshot of the close of week. So if you can do 2 screenshots effectively when somebody starts, first 24 hours, and also end of week 1, then the end of week 2, end of week 3. And so each week, if everybody is effectively posting their outcomes for the week in here with a little short story, make sure you also have the actual disclaimer. So make sure you're always referencing to the actual disclaimer on this group. We need that. No mentioning of Silverstar Live, no logos, no URLs. This is purely social proof of what's happening with the software. It's very similar, and we're using the ATM marketing method: add, tag, and message. So effectively, to add somebody to the group, you can either give them the URL, or you can just come up here to invite members, and we just type in the @ sign, and I'll go @Aaron Haller. Haller, there he is, and he says already a member. So maybe we'll try somebody else. Who am I going to think of? Peter Johansson. Sorry, see if Peter's there. There he is, already a member. Okay, but anyway, you add them as a member, and then you can tag them in a post. Sorry, go back to there. Tag them in a post. The way you tag them is effectively the same thing. You just put @ and their name. And I wanted to tag Aaron here. And I might say something like, hey, using this great software, it's making me money. Check out all the other people that are also making money. Let's catch up for a chat. And you can also tag them in the 5-minute video. We've got the 5-minute overview video in here as well. To me, that's probably, you could tag them twice, once with the 5-minute video and once in one of the posts of the social proof of the software results, and follow up with a message and say, hey, Aaron, just want to let you know what I've been doing lately. I'm making some money with some great little software. I've added you to a Facebook group where everyone's posting their results, just so you can see it's not just me, but there's lots of people getting results with this. And I've tagged you in 2 posts that I really think will benefit you. Watch the 5-minute video and then look at the results. So that's effectively the 2 Facebook groups. We've got a YouTube channel that is also operational as well. Sorry. So we've got a YouTube channel, so that'll be up, and we're already uploading videos. We're going to put all our Facebook Lives in there as well, and also some of the webinars we've done, like the one that Lee and I did on Show Me the Money, where we explained in big detail how you effectively take advantage of the rewards plan, every aspect, and also how to make sure that you don't leave money on the table. That's really important as well. So let's go back here and stop sharing for a minute. So basically, that's effectively, from a marketing point of view, something I wanted to update you with. So please note those new URLs for the Facebook groups, and said make sure you add your team, and I'll publish the YouTube channel as well shortly as well. Okay, well, today we wanted to cover some topics, particularly looking back as how things have been going for the last few weeks. We got involved in this just post-Christmas, in a sense of actively marketing and getting involved. It's only a few weeks now, and we've seen with Hamilton, in fact, it's been the software that the majority of people have been using. And I'm going to get Chris, who's a bit more technically inclined in these areas, just to share his thoughts on where we've come from so far in terms of the actual performance of the software, some of the things that some of the lessons we've learned along the way, and also give you some advice, not some advice, basically just give you some insights of what we would do to prepare for the week coming up, and also what we would do at the end of each week to ensure that we close the week properly. It's also about today is about managing expectations as well. It's important. I did a post this week about that Hamilton is not the self-driving Tesla. It's like a Ferrari. Some people have been marketing this, that you just hop in the self-driving Tesla and you say, I want to get from A to $500 profit, and without any intervention at all. This is still an amazing vehicle, but you do need to turn it on. You need to turn it off, and you need to make sure you park it in neutral. You've got the handbrake on and all those things. So there's a few things that you need to do to effectively, before you step out of the car. If you had the motor vehicle and you turned it off and you didn't put the handbrake on and it was in neutral and you just hopped out of the car and you're actually on a hill, that could end up pretty bad. You could end up in a very bad situation. So it's important that you do understand how to close the week off in a way that will minimize any bad outcomes and maximize the positive outcomes. So Chris, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you share some stuff with us.
Great, Michael. Thank you and welcome, everyone. First of all, I've never traded FX before. 3 weeks ago, I started spending some intense energy looking at Hamilton, how it works, why it works, where it's going to fail, how it's going to hurt me, and how, like everyone else, I can do it with less and make more and all of those joyous little things. So I don't have a trading history. I've never traded FX before. I have traded some crypto, and I have been a fund manager, so I've understood how to review the mythology of different traders and different ideas. So today I don't want to make you an expert because I'm not one. What I want to share is the observations I've seen about the fantastic things about the software and also its limitations. So you've got what I would call a rounded view of the good and the bad and the ugly, as Michael and I have done before. So you don't need to be an expert. But this is not an auto drive Tesla, as Michael said. So you have to care about your money. And you care about your money more than anyone else, more than the software provider, more than me, Michael, or anyone else. So there has to be, with this particular software, some level of engagement. Is that complicated once it's set up? No. But it requires a little bit of basic knowledge. So I'm going to walk you through the screen and give you an idea of some of the basics, what you have to do to be safe, as safe can be in a highly volatile market, which Forex is. Volatility equals both risk and opportunity. So I see I'm excited about the software because for the first time I don't have to give my money to someone else and trust that it'll come back one day. I can watch it and I have some control over the destiny. So for me, the 101 first and most important thing is the setup correct. Now, there are people in your upline that will help you through the process. Michael and I, and I'm not the marketing guy, but I'm happy to get on a quick Zoom, have a look at it once it's set up, check that it's set up correctly. That's a very quick little job. And once you're set correctly, short of any major disaster, you should be great to run. Important next step, you have to turn it on, and more importantly, when you're told that there's a major market announcement coming or the end of the week's coming, you have to look at the most opportune time to exit with either a break even, a loss, a small loss, or take an additional risk. Most importantly, when you pick a broker, the higher your margin is, the better your chance of surviving a very, very choppy market. And we're going to have a look at the choppy market this week and see what that did to margin. I'm going to show you an account that didn't have enough money in and how that fared and those sort of things so you can see. So what's important? 1,000 to 1 gives you a lot more that your account trades can go against you before you get stopped out by the broker. That means your trade gets closed at a loss and the money's lost forever. Okay, so margin's important and how much capital's in the account's important when a trade goes against you. So you might wonder when I talk about observing. Let me just quickly share a screen to give you an idea of how I look at the markets. So this is, let me quickly hit share. I'm new to this program, so let's share. Okay. Great. So I have a tiny little laptop, but it drives a 55-inch curved Samsung just because my eyes are getting older and older and I need more and more better glasses. So I sit here watching the charts, and we have a test account that we never touch, and other than turning on and off. And we have 3 other accounts that I play with and have a look at, and we've tried with small capitals, and we've seen what happens when things go wrong, when it margins out, and we've learned lessons from it. Amazingly enough, though, in the 3 weeks that we've been trading, we are several $100s above our entry capital, despite having one of those accounts completely wiped out. And having because we started with too little capital, $150, that was a good lesson. And a couple of others, some margin affected because, again, not enough capital and trying to understand how the markets work. So that's basically how my desk works. So let's just change now and have a quick look at if my eyes and my mouse can coordinate. let's have a look actually at the market and what's happened this week. Okay, and before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about one other little thing. Benjamin is the starship of SSL's software. It has artificial intelligence. It reads the market. It understands how it needs to change and adapt. It's like the boss in the office who sits there and picks the very best of the best deals to do, rather than simply sits on the factory floor like Hamilton, just working like a worker like crazy. So the concept, as best I can understand it as a layperson, is that Hamilton looks to buy the smallest lot possible and for the market to move just a little bit, because as you can see in each of these graphs, let me just zoom in, pinch zoom. Let me see if my computer's going to let me do what I want. That's not helpful. Just hang on a sec. Let me just... No, not going to do what I want. All right. So there's a lot of oscillation there. So what happens is when the market moves and it just takes a little profit, it doesn't try and get a bigger profit because it thinks the market's moving. It takes a fixed amount of profit, about 50 cents, bang, 50 cents, bang, 50 cents, bang. But when the trade goes, say, for instance, they're looking for the trade to go, the price to go up, so they put a buy order in and the price goes down, what it sort of says is it looks at it and goes, on the law of averages, what I know is when the price goes down, it may not come back all the way, but it's going to come back some of the way. So it takes additional positions to bring back. And we'll have a look at that in some of these big drawdowns. So I want to draw your attention to the charts here, and we're going to look at the actual how it took trades to get out of a trade. What this software does, if you have enough margin and if you have enough capital in the account, when the trade goes against you, it is absolutely quite cleverly brilliant in how it ensures that it returns that trade to a break even. And for the winning trades, it just takes its little bit and it does lots and lots. So here where the mouse is, you'll see that basically at the same time as the euro, both the Aussie and the euro went into a downturn. Both there, you can see that. Let me find my little mouse pen here and put it over the screen. Right, pick a color. Whoops. Michael, are you able to hear and see everything adequately well? Sorry, it's my first time with this software.
Yep, all good.
Great. Okay, so let's just pick that color. Let's pick a slightly bigger brush. So we're looking at the chart here. Let's get rid of a little bit of density, bring it back so it's see. What we're doing is we're going to first look at what happened in the market when this happened. And at the same time, this happened. Okay, so when you have this area here is what I'd sort of call pretty normal. Bounces along up and down, wanders down, wanders up. I guess if you were to go a little bit further, you would say really sort of this section of the market is probably more normal. This big run up that we saw on Friday Australian time and the US time, this here was abnormal, and I'll talk about that, and because that brought to bear some of the limitations of Hamilton. So just before we do, let's just have a look at a couple of things on the screen. You can see here in this instance, we're actually looking at our live screen. So down the bottom, I want to show you in this account that's had no manual trading. Deposit, 480, sorry, glasses is all 486. Profit and loss, 114. Over, I think this, Michael, is about a 2-week period, if that's correct on this particular account. That's my memory of that.
It's about of actual trading days. It was Thursday week back that we started this account.
Yes, correct. You're right. So it's only about 7 trading days or less. It's a physical week. Okay. So that gives you a real live market. Now down the bottom, you have a couple of tabs, and so the first one at the bottom is the trade tab. When there's orders open, that's where you'll see them. They'll be in this section, and you'll see the balance, the equity, the margin available, and current profit or loss and profit on the far side. So when I go back to the other chart, remind me to talk about that, Michael. So on the screen, you have to see up the top, you have the little Hamilton, okay? And in this case, because it's turned off, you can't, it's not smiling. In this instance, I asked for the software to be turned on, even though we are actually auto trading off at the moment. Okay, so just so you're aware of that, that's why this screen's the way it is. Prices, obviously, on the left-hand side, you see the various currency pairs, the account, and the expert advisor there. For me, when I go to close out trades, and Brian did some great little videos on Friday that we were talking about, and we posted in the Facebook thing, I turn auto trading off, and then I go down the bottom here and I close the relative trades. If I have a situation where I want to run just one window, and we won't make it complicated because there's those little videos, I simply do what Brian did in the video. I double click on Hamilton, and I go allow or disallow live trading, so it turns them on and off separately. So, but I don't want to get into complicated little things. I think we'll do a more complicated, a more detailed one that goes into those things a little bit later. So, first of all, this was a large market drop. This was a simultaneous large market movement. This was what I would call a fairly insane market movement when the American government came back online. So I want to look at some actual trades that happened and what actually happened in the market for us on one of our test accounts at the time that happened. So let me, I know that the as sharp as we would have a look at the euro US dollar here, so we can get a better idea. And I just need to bring my little colorful little thing back to the screen. So let's get rid of the grey. Great. And I've got to pick a red color. So what I want to point out is that right here, the market is actually falling. But the first trade that it took was a buy. Now, a buy means I expect the market to go up. So when we're talking about that, you see just on the screen here, whoops, I've written all over it, not helpful. You see a little thing that says buy. And what's important about this, the first trade should always be a 0.01 lot, okay? So the trade starts to go against it. And as it drops, and it's dropping reasonably quickly here, it goes, okay, it appears to me that the market may not come back to the point that I came in. So what it does is, instead of buying one lot, normally it buys two. In this instance, it bought three because obviously the speed of the drop or something in the algorithm decided it needed three. So it bought three positions here. So at this position, if the market had turned around and come back towards the 0.1 position to get it completely out of the trade, it wouldn't have to come back all the way to 0.1 because it's got three positions. So it's got a factor of power to annihilate the initial loss of 3 times. So it only has to come back a small proportion. As the market continued to drop and it didn't retrace and come back, and retrace simply means to return to where it was, it took bigger and bigger lots. Depending on the speed of the drop and all of those things, the lots varied. So right down here at the bottom, you'll see that it took a 13 lot buy, a 0.13. Now, this is normal in the software. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We set the close after number to 11. In this instance, we're not at 11, but we've come a reasonable way down. Now, this means that there is quite a big demand on your capital because you've got increasingly large lots going in the negative against you. Hamilton assumes the market's like a big elastic band. The further out you go, the harder it's going to come back towards the direction. And even if it only comes back a quarter or half, if I take a big enough lot as I'm stretched harder and harder, as I slingshot back, it's going to get me out of the trade. That's really the concept of what Hamilton's doing here, and it's clever, and it works when the market doesn't move insane amounts. if the market continues to move insane amounts, unless you've got a ginormous capital, it will cause trades to get margined out. So let's have a look at this. And again, I'm not trying to lead by example. So at the same time, you see both charts. Let me just zoom some. You'll see both pairs start taking bigger and bigger lots, which is completely correct, to rubber band to break even a loss-making trade. But however, so what is the danger here? So let's look at the sinful thing I did here on this account to learn some lessons. This account had a balance of $268 US. Not enough, even on Trader's Way, with 1,000 to 1, not to damage my equity position. And as this continued to fall, caused me to incur some forced losses. The scary bit on the bottom of this screen is margin at this point dropped to 22.53. When that drops to 0, I can tell you from lovely experience, the bar on the bottom goes red and the broker comes in and says, let's close a lot in there to give you a little bit more equity, which means you lose, but you've still got some trades in. Until, if the market keeps going like on Friday it did on too small a balance, it takes out your positions and your counts goes out. Now, this is not bad news. This is what I'm trying to do, is without making you a trader, let you understand while 90% of the time this software is going to belt back and minimizes the loss, I'm a realist. There are times if the market moves like it did the other day, let me just pull that one back up. If it moves like it did the other day and runs up and off the chart and you're hedging, you may run out of money or margin. So my observation, and not as a trader, just as an analyst of how trading patterns work, is I think you have to have realistic expectations of this software, right? This is why when, this is our live account. When Quicksilver said, after this drawdown here, let me come back to, red, So he extended the software, and he said, once you get out, no, I'm moving, why am I moving that around? Okay, because I'm on the wrong one. Right, after you get, let's move the mouse onto the correct screen. After you get out of this area here, this downturn, and you come back to a break even, which probably occurred somewhere around here, okay? It's time to get out of the market. So I just missed it coming back in. But here, when we were at a definite break even at this point, we turned our software off. See, no more trades were in. Those that didn't hear that warning and the announcement happened on the Friday ended up in trades here, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, just like what was happening with the trades I showed you. But the rise here versus the fall there is magnitudes bigger. So it was much more significant. So I'm going to give you my personal opinion. And I'm not necessarily wanting to get quoted on it. My opinion, based on what I've seen so far on 3 weeks of testing 4 Hamilton accounts, 1 untouched, a few that broke the rules like the 261, and let me tell you, that did pull itself back. It did actually come back 100%, even though it got margined out. We were just extremely lucky that the fact that the run happened back up like you can see in the picture, and that there was enough open positions that weren't margined out to bring it back. My honest opinion is that when it comes to this software, like all investment placements, you care for your money more than anyone else. Pay a little bit of attention to that turning off. When it comes to, if you're an Aussie and it's Thursday night before you go to bed, if you're in a very small drawdown, $5, $10, something like that, it's not talking 50 or 100 or 150 or 250, then you need to look at it and go, I've had a great trading week, it's time to close out and auto trade off. Because what Hamilton needs, it needs capital, margin, and time to trade out. On a Friday, you run out of time, and on Friday, announcements tend to happen that tend to move the market significantly. So if you're here to protect your capital, my suggestion to you is look at the Thursday night, at latest Friday morning Aussie time, because I'm thinking Aussie time, I'm based out of KL, which is 2 hours different. But occasionally I've had to run through to close of market. I've had to ask for my software to be left on so it continued to fight its way out. For everyone that was in on close of market Friday on this massive run up, the challenge is the market ran up and then closed, and we don't know where it'll open on Monday, which left you fairly exposed. Listening to Quicksilver's Saturday morning live, he believes when it runs up like that, there'll be a retracement. So I'm hoping the market opens for everyone that are in those trades back the other way. But trading too far into Friday doesn't give you a good exit chance. So that's sort of just to give you a little bit of an idea. Let's come back to my real expectations. My expectations, looking at the software, is after 3 weeks of performance on standard settings, but all of those things, I expect that this software will continue to produce probably net of software costs somewhere between $300 to $500 after software costs and VPS costs per month. I guess, looking at big market volatility and movements, with using the advice and getting a little bit better at closing out when we're told to, I expect that it's going to do that for us probably 10 months of the year. I equally expect that we're going to have Trump or Kim Jong-un press that red button once every so often, or Brexit button, unannounced, unplanned, and see a runaway market like what's happened here. And that may well damage an account. So for me, I want to, as quickly as possible, be investing with house money. So as soon as we've got 100% of our capital out, I'll be using this investment on the basis of house money. That makes me happy. My second choice will be to, once the second round of capital profits come out, I'm not going to spend them. I can reinvest them or diversify them, but I'm probably going to hold them aside in case there's ever an event like this. So I go, okay, I got my 2 out of 10. Now I can refund and let's keep going, again with house money. So there are different philosophies of money management. Mine will be different to yours. Some people I know just want to get it into the next investment and have as much diversification as possible. For me, I'm extremely happy with how it manages loss trades and trades them out in relatively normal to high volatility. In a change of trend, a very fast change of trend, Hamilton's going to have some limitations. Now, my next thing is to start looking and understanding Benjamin. From everything I've read, everything I've watched, everything I've understood without having a live account, this has a lot more smarts in, a lot more AI and ability to do things. So again, you care for your money, learn the little bit of basics. Let me go back to that other slide so I can show you how you would close out a trade while I remember. So here on the bottom left side, you'll see right now this account is in a drawdown position of $147. Came back 100% even though some of these got closed. When you come to close the trade, you simply press the X. The first time you do it, it'll have a pop-up box that tells you to approve it. But every time after it, it's as simple as clicking the X. So my safety tips for the week are: make sure you're plugged in to the SSL Telegram group so you know when the off is happening. If you are still in a large drawdown and the software is going off, contact support on your back office, click on it, tell them to leave the software on and manually exit when you're ready and turn auto trading off. Otherwise, if you're a very small position, close the position, turn auto trading off, enjoy your weekend with no stress. Have someone check that your settings are right. This is really important. Keep an eye on the lot sizes, that they're not getting too big. Now, you saw on mine that incrementally they're going against it. But if you saw a trade open, let me just clear that. If you saw a trade open with a lot size of 0.9 or 0.11 or 0.13, then you want to get out of that trade because any movement in it doesn't give you the ability to hedge out. Better to take a small loss and hedge out. You can see that, and you can also do that on your phone. Try to find brokers and use brokers with higher margin because it gives you more room to move when the market moves in a rush against you, and ensure you've got enough capital. Quite a few of my friends over the weekend, came into Friday night, saw the market run understood how the software worked, and they went, look, I've got half a Bitcoin sitting here. I'm going to drop it, or a quarter of a Bitcoin. I'm going to drop it into the account. So Hamilton has the ability to pretty well instantly fund the account and has the ability to take those bigger hedges. So when the market retraces, I'll be able to get it back. There are times where doing that is wise. Personally, my first profit I'm going to keep in a sub account, in this case at Traders Way. So if I ever see an account getting close, it's a 30-second transaction. You can, if you've got multiple Traders Way accounts, you can move capital between them instantly, even while they're live trading on MT4. Brings me to one other thing that's probably for people that are a little bit advanced, and we might cover this again in another one. A few people had a challenge with their VPSs going offline on, I think it was Thursday. Unfortunately, out of the 4 at Amsterdam, we have one or two of them went offline. From what I learned from that is that I've installed each of the VPSs we have, I've made an installation on my laptop. So in the case of emergency, your trades aren't open with the broker and you're unable to, the software's unable to continue to run. I ran it from my little laptop that you saw in the picture earlier. It ran very well. It had a 200+ millisecond delay, but it still exited trades and took new hedges. So that's sort of how I feel about it. For me, this software opinion puts you back in. Make sure your Hamilton's running with the corners on. It should have that lovely little smiley face in the corner. It should.
You're just dropping out a bit, Chris. I'm not sure where it's just the bandwidth.
My apologies.
That's right.
Maybe I'm throwing the bandwidth around too hard. Michael, I think that covers it. Is there some specific questions you'd like me to cover or answer to this, or does that basically address the concerns?
What we tried to do today is, not trying to teach you to trade, because we're not traders. We're trying to give you some understanding with this. Maybe just turn your sharing off. That might help too. It's about realistic expectations, and let's think about this. That if actually out of the 12 months of the year, if every month bar 2, so 10 months of the year, you got a positive result, which was around 80 to 100% profit.
Michael, let's be conservative. Let's say it's 50% a month.
Yeah.
Right? You get 50% a month, 10 months a year. That's 500%.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes we look at this and we go, nobody wants to have a loss and nobody wants a negative situation. But we also forget the amazing upside of this, that if you, as Chris has said, even a conservative 50% result with Hamilton, which is a very conservative approach, by 10 months of the year, 500%. Show me something that's real, where the money's in your broker account, where you're in control of your funds. You can touch your capital and your profits instantly. Because in most cases, you're handing your money to somebody else and hoping that they're going to do a good job. So I just want you to, have a realistic expectations, because we tend to come into this and think it's the actual self-driving Tesla and it's going to make profits every single week, every single day. And it's going to look at our screens and just be, I'm in love with it. And yet this
is not a get rich.
No,
this is a consistent passive income generator with some risk of downside, but amazing upside.
So our point is having realistic expectations, that if you get the occasional downward trend, and again, what happened the other day, with the American government, shut down for as long as these are not everyday events. They're not every week events. They're not every month events. There's something that happens maybe once a year, so it's being realistic. The question Greg put here, Chris, is, should somebody have only $500? It's a personal decision. We definitely are seeing that you want to have at least $500, and a lot of people are now saying, I'm going to be a little bit extra cautious. I'm going to top it up. Maybe I'll put 1,000 in there. Yeah, but I'll let Chris share your thoughts on it.
Look, on 1,000 to 1, our $500 account has ridden out we started with 488. You saw the facts.
Yep.
Started with 488. There's been 3 reasonably up and down chainsaw events. All 3 of those, it's survived, held its profit. Yes, it's had big drawdowns. It's gone negative to nearly $200 of the $500, but it's always pulled it back. Always pulled it back and continued to make profit. If you are, for instance, on Hugo's Way with half the margin, it means you've got half the credit when things start going wrong.
So the leverage.
500, yes, leverage, sorry. When you talk about the leverage, we're at 500 to 1 versus 1,000 to 1. When things start going against you, you have less credit, okay? And we've needed that credit. So I think that if I was on a Hugo's account, I might be a bit more conservative and look at more like a 700, 750. If I was on a 200 to 1, I'd want to be even higher than that balance. Okay, so leverage choice makes a big difference into how much you're allowing the market to go against you without damaging your base capital. Okay, so that's my consideration.
For those who are totally new to this, when we talk about leverage, can you just explain just in very layman's terms what that means?
Michael, I'm not sure I'm that good. It's basically credit. It's multiplied credit. How far they will allow you to go, have a trade go against you, how much loss you can have. It's like an amplifier of the capital you have in the account. So it will allow you to go further. Sorry, I should look up a real definition, but in real terms, that's basically how that is. Michael, on this particular thing, where do you see the questions?
On the chat, on the right-hand side is a little setting symbol, and below that is a chat symbol. You just click on the chat symbol.
Sorry.
So moving into this next week, we've talked about managing expectations, lessons we've learnt from this. There's videos now in our Facebook group about how to close your trades, how to end the week, and we are going to put some more videos in to cover different topics. So we'll put up a library of these in our YouTube channel. We'll have these videos as well. So rather than you having to search through the timeline on Facebook to find where the videos are, you can just go to the YouTube channel. The playlist, there'll be an actual playlist of tutorials. There'll be a playlist for marketing videos. There'll be a playlist of recorded webinars, things like that. So different playlists as well. Going into the week ahead, basically, the important thing is be on Telegram. Make sure you are connected. I did post in the Facebook timeline today the link for Telegram. If you don't have Telegram on your phone, it's an app. You download it. You can also have a desktop version, but you need to have your phone app first and actually create your account. Then you download the desktop version. I've given the links and the instructions for that in the Facebook post. So if you really want to get the best results out of this, make sure on the Telegram. Make sure you are checking your Facebook group when you get up at the start of the day and before you go to bed, at least those 2 times, and read what's in there, because we are trying to keep you up to date with what's going on. Stay plugged in. As I said, it's not a self-driving Tesla. You need to drive this. You need to make sure the handbrake's on, the gears and everything's turned off. So at the end of the week. And if you do all this stuff, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm absolutely confident that that's the case. It is, after 3 weeks of intense testing, including in low volume markets, it's been a very eye-opening experience, and I look forward now to sort of getting my head around Benjamin and how it works. If you do have questions, put them together. If you want a more technical webinar that's better planned in advance, and I've got a little bit of time, I have not taken screenshots as we've been going along, but now that I understand people are wanting to know little things, I'm going to start taking some screenshots as we're trading along, so we can come back to them and explain how things happen, why things happen. We're not here to make you FX traders. I'm not an FX trader. I'm not manually doing trades. The only thing I do here is close trades if I feel there's a need to, and turn the system on and off. That is all. And but I need to be very clear about that. I'm not the trader. I'm not trading it. The software's trading it. All I'm doing is on and off and close a trade occasionally if I feel the need to.
Yeah, it's a bit like you do have some option if you want to close trades. It's a bit like I said, the Ferrari with that you actually have the paddles on the steering wheel to change gears. but it's an automatic. Generally it's going to be driving as automatic, but occasionally you might want to just play with the pedals and close some trades. If you choose to, you don't never have to. Just answer some of these questions. So funding your account. Personally, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, other cryptos that like Traders Way does allow you to have different cryptos. I personally would always have some Bitcoin handy for funding your account, because doing it with a credit card or other means takes time. With crypto, typically within a matter of less than 15 minutes, up to half, less within an hour anyway, at the very, very most, your account will be funded. So when you need to add funds quickly, I would always have some Bitcoin. Now, some of you may not actually be familiar with Bitcoin or may not have any currently. I would go and get some. I would make sure that you've got a little bit, it's like Chris said, if you want to take out your first month's profit, I would probably take that first month and make sure that you get some Bitcoin handy for very quick funding, of this. Peter said about the full-time analyzer that will be implemented. Yes, they are going to apparently hire a full-time analyzer to analyze the market and be more proactive when these things happen. But again, these major world events, they're not an everyday event. They are every so often, but obviously you need to get notified. And the reason some people got affected last week is because they weren't plugged in to Telegram. We also repost these in our Facebook group, so we will try and as quickly as we can see these updates come in, also put them in the Facebook group to notify you as well. But you want to be on Telegram, and as I said, you want to be checking your Telegram. Check it at the actual start of the day, check it in the middle of the day, and check it at the end of the day, just to make sure.
And remember, just because the market closed US EST 5 p.m., if doesn't mean you should trade to then, right? Yeah. Because if you're in a pile of bad trades at that time, you're in hell's corner. And I've been there once in the last 3 weeks and had to have a very nervous weekend because I couldn't get out without taking a big loss. So that's why this weekend, before this run up, when he said get out once we recover from this bounce, we got out and we turned off. We could have made more profit. But boy, we are grateful that we got out when he suggested to get out. Now, I'm not saying, I know that some people were sleeping at that time. I understand those things, so it's not always possible. But really, it's, we sleep different time zones to the US for those in Asia and Sweden and those guys. I understand you're, again, a different time zone. But Brexit, the government shut down, a government shutdown again in 3 weeks. These are things that are all have big potentials to affect the market. Best not to be in. Best, the preservation of capital is more important than the rate of return. And so when you think about what you're doing, preservation of capital is always more important than the rate of return. Try not to push it beyond its limits. Otherwise, it does bite. It is such that way. But again, you have a most incredibly useful, user-friendly software for someone like me who can't trade, who can just watch, observe, and learn, who'll do the trades for me, and all I have to know is follow the instructions to get out when it says so, turn it on when it says so, make sure my settings are right, keep an eye that it's not taking, for some strange reasons, too big a lot sizes. So Michael, I've had a really interesting, exhausting, and fun 3 weeks. I've had some sheer terror moments, some great excitement, and some sheer relief seeing how it actually digs itself out of holes. And that for me is the impressive bit. So I'll get back to you and let you close out the meeting and any other questions.
Yeah, that's very true. And thank you, Chris, for giving us some insights. I let Chris take care of the more technical side of the business, and he does a very good job of that, and he's a very good educator as well. I've been watching comments of other people who are experienced traders, and they've all said they've been really impressed with the way Hamilton works. People who do understand the technicalities. I personally don't understand. I'm learning. I don't ever intend to do manual training or be into the fine detail, but it's good to understand some of the fundamentals. So as Chris was asking the question about Hugo's Way, you can open up.
Let me just give a live
Yep.
demonstration of that, Michael. Give me 30 seconds. I just need to log into something. You talk for a moment and I'll come to
Okay,
you.
so my point is, you might be thinking, well, can I move my trading account from Hugo's Way to Trader's Way, where I go from maybe a 1 to 200 or 1 to 500 leverage to 1 to 1,000? Yes, you can. And the great thing about Hugo's Way is you can withdraw with Bitcoin. And the great thing about funding Trader's Way is you can fund with Bitcoin. So you can just do a Bitcoin to Bitcoin transfer. So when you withdraw from Hugo's Way, it'll ask for a Bitcoin address, and when you go to deposit into Trader's Way, it'll provide you with an address. So you just simply put the Trader's Way funding address into the withdrawal section of Hugo's Way, and it's just basically a BTC to BTC transfer. So it's very easy, but obviously you will need to set up your put your new Trader's Way account details into your VPS and your MT4. So it's important to know that.
Okay, these are test accounts. These are not our demonstration account. These are how I test all different sorts of limits. So here there are actually 4 accounts, but only 3 that we're trading live. Okay, the other one is in a completely separate account. So here what I have is I have the first account that's simply empty. It's the account that I send Bitcoin to and from, and if I want to have extra equity, I'll have it sitting in that account. The other accounts, you can see the live balance, you can see the equity. The beauty about this particular things here is that you can transfer between accounts live during live trading. So if I had an extra $1,000 in the first account, no, I don't want to withdraw. What did I do then? Transfer between accounts. Okay, can't do it on the weekend when the markets are closed. But literally, I have moved money from the main Bitcoin account into one of these sub accounts while they're trading, and it immediately, within 30 seconds, appears on the MT4 platform. So you have the ability to move money between accounts internally with the exchange. So if you wanted to, without putting at any risk, you could have one account that you didn't trade, that you just held a balance in, and if you felt a particular account needed a top-up, it's a 30-second job on the computer, verify an email, and it's live in the account within a minute, minute and a half. So that's just a little bit of things. I shuffled some money around between the accounts this week when that drawdown happened to make sure that the lowest one didn't margin out. Didn't quite turn out the way I planned, but it was instant. I've tried it. It does work. And so that's enough of that share. Did that answer the question?
That's great. Well, everyone, we enjoy the rest of your Sunday. It was a morning, afternoon, evening. Thanks again, Chris, for joining me today. Appreciate you, everyone, joining us on short notice. I hope you got a lot out of that. The actual recording will be posted in the Facebook group. That'll be there in the next hour or two. And we look forward to a great week of trading. Thanks, everyone.
We certainly do. My last comment, what we've done here is our personal choice based on our knowledge and experience or inexperience. We don't recommend it that you do or don't do this. We recommend that you become educated in the best way you can to make wise choices, and understanding that this market is a high risk market, but with high risk can come equally high rewards, and we're excited with the rewards we've gained over the last 3 weeks here with this software. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Take care.